everybody. This is Melissa with Spirit, of course, and we are out in a home in Sacramento today to just mainly, our focus is the blessing and restoring of energy, but also some validation. Our client didn't necessarily want the full heavy investigation and a bunch of investigators, which is perfectly fine. We tailor this to every individual situation and home and client. What we're here today is just to see, are there some energy flow issues? Are there some energies that don't belong? And how do we restore balance back in the favor of our client so she can enjoy her home, feel calm, peaceful, safe, and just enjoy her space with her animals. Nobody should be in their home feeling uncomfortable or scared or having a lot of stress or strife or problems. And so our main goal in every single case is just to restore that positive energy and that balance. We're going to do a cold walkthrough, probably wave a few meters around just to make sure we don't have any weird EMF signatures going on that could either add to paranormal activity or cause the sensation of paranormal activity. So we want to really validate where we can and debunk where necessary. And then, of course, bless the heck out of the space and make it much more manageable and allow our client to then take over and keep that positive energy going from this point forward. The initial energy that I felt in the house, there is this nervous energy that is vibrating through the walls. It is just sort of a background energy that just kind of flows and permeates the space. There is an older male, I'd put him probably in his 80s, that seems to be trying to fix or protect or watch over to some degree. I don't know if this energy comes with a space or comes with a family. I'm not positive yet, but it seems like he's just checking things, looking at things. Little respiratory discomfort with him. Not sure what's quite going on with him yet. He doesn't seem negative by any means. He just seems to be kind of quietly watching, and he hasn't really engaged me yet. There's also an older female that seems to be kind of hovering in the background. Maybe a little bit shorter gal, very, very polite demeanor, good manners, very traditional values with her. The male has a bit of a regimented vibe, so he may have military law enforcement, first responder connections. If he wasn't, then he may have grown up around or knew somebody close to him that was, because he's really into protecting. He's got this thing like, what does everybody need? How do we keep things safe? There's something weird. It doesn't fit the equation, and I'm not sure what it is yet. There's an energy that doesn't quite make sense to me. This might be a created entity, like a psychokinetic entity. So we'll do the walkthrough and figure out, try to narrow that down a little bit. That's kind of my initial impressions energetically, and so I'd like to explore that a little deeper so we can get things back in balance. There's a weird abdominal pain in here. Like I feel like a residue of a severe abdominal pain and discomfort of some kind. This maybe, it almost feels like liver or gallbladder pain, but something abdominal in this space, and I don't quite know what that's about. The energy is, I almost can't quantify it. It's like slightly a feeling of being trapped, but I'm not quite sure what that means yet. I don't know if the dreams would be very good in here necessarily for everybody. Some people would not perceive them, but some people would. What is it? So I feel like I hear auditory sound, like auditory phenomena, but a lot of it is ignored or explained away. It's just this, it's just that. It's not like but I keep hearing auditory phenomena in the space. Kind
Like
of like
voices or
not like no, just clatters, knocking, banging, feet. The visual phenomena is being ignored too. There's definite visual.
ignored by the person who's experiencing it?
Uh-huh.
All right.
I think it's complete denial. Complete denial. Completely shut off. I'm assuming the linen closet.
Oh no, this is where the AC.
Oh, okay. And that seems very numb energetically.
Huh.
I feel watched, especially in the bathroom. I feel a sense of being watched.
I feel like that every time I'm in there.
Oh.
I always like wonder, like I'm like, oh, am I just imagining that? What if the neighbors have like cameras or whatever? But I'm like, it's frosted though, so you know I know they can't.
It just feels, it just feels a little like observed. But it's sometimes hard to tell but the difference between just like your loved ones are kind of like checking up, are you okay, are you safe, are you, that kind of thing, or if it's something like an entity staring at you, like that is not as polite. Come here and help me.
Yeah, when I sit in here, there won't be a fan on, the air conditioner's not on, the windows are closed, and the dream catchers are moving. Like a lot. They're like significantly moving, and it happens all the time. And they stare at it.
Yeah, I would assume they would.
My cat that died in July of last year, that was her bed.
Okay.
And when she started having her episodes, she would hide under here, under the chest.
Okay.
And even though she was, gone, these guys wouldn't come in my room all of a sudden. And they for months they would like skulk down if they would come in and like almost walk on their belly, and they'd come and they'd peek, and the minute like he would like peek under there, he'd like jump sky high and like run out. Weird. And it was like they were all doing the same behavior, and it was just the weirdest thing. So I don't know what that's about.
I definitely would like to check that with meters for one thing, and just try to see the difference of like if there's some sort of energetic issue. But I'd like to check the bed for static and EMF, because I'm getting that feeling I get on the prickly on my palms with sensitives, people with abilities. I know you're sensitive, but I don't think it's you. I feel like there's this there's a deep intensity of energy, ability to feel things, a little precognitive dreams that feel very vivid, just feeling stuff, picking up on stuff, and that can leave you vulnerable to energy, but it can also leave you vulnerable to creating energy in the space from you. Not that you're doing it on purpose, this is an inadvertent psychokinetic thing where if you're sensitive, if you have a little bit of a feeler, you might launch your own, like when you're stressed out, your own energy, and then it starts to kind of coagulate in the space like a storm, and then it takes on a life of its own essentially. And I worry that may be started, but I don't think that's the whole picture. I do feel like there's this other male energy, not the older gentleman, but some other male energy that's sort of in the background, and I think he's hiding from me.
Yeah, this is where all the episodes happen, where I swear to God on my life, there's a man that's squeezing me I can feel the facial hair on my here. I can feel his, you know what, pressing me right here, and it's almost like I can't breathe, and he's squeezing me, and it's like, it's so real, and I feel it, and it's just, and then I can't move, and then when I finally open my eyes, it's like there's not a sound, the room is empty, it's light, like there was like, it's like I was never even asleep. Like, I don't understand what happens. It just goes from one, like, experience to, like, bam, you're awake. Like, what was just happening? Like, and I've never felt that before.
That's not ideal. And that's this energy that I feel that's hiding in the background. And I'm not quite sure why it's hiding from me, except for the fact that maybe it doesn't necessarily want to let go.
You're saying it, are we feeling like it's not human? Or?
I don't know. I mean, I don't like to... human entities are capable of that. I mean, if they're impolite enough to not respect boundaries.
But after I did that thing, my own little homemade, you know, blessing and stuff, that has only happened one time, and it was minor. Like,
good. So you were able to tamp it down.
Snapped myself out of it, like, right away.
So that means you broke some of the energy, which is phenomenal, which would also be consistent with something that, at least at some point, was a human, but may be very disrespectful of your energetic boundaries.
I haven't seen my little dog anymore that passed since then.
That doesn't mean that they're not still here, though.
Yeah, okay.
It just means that, you know, sometimes souls get a little quieter. They kind of recede into the background, but then sometimes they come into the foreground. They ebb and they flow.
Okay.
Are there any family heirlooms in here?
No, just my Coach purses, but that's a very old chest that I have to actually ask my mom where we got it from. Because it's old.
I hear something. I hear a woman talking when I touch it.
Oh.
Which is what's really weird. I'm like,
it's
what
very, very
the
old.
hell is?
Yeah, it's really old.
Okay.
So
ask your mom, because it's got a signature. Not that it's necessarily negative, but it would actually make sense why a cat would hide under it. One, it's a place to hide, but it may have like this bubbling kind of sensation where something, you know, they feel safe to retreat. I don't feel anything inherently dark with this, though, but I do hear a woman talking.
Oh, that's why you wanted the castle.
Yeah, they're like, who's this lady? Let's go see her. So she could be connected to the family somewhere, like maybe like a great grandparent or, you know, or aunt or something. She's connected somewhere. I don't quite know where, but there's an energy of somebody that was left on this object at some point in its lifetime. Somebody's energy, the record player of the energy, has been sort of attached to that.
Yeah, I have a couple pieces. This was my grandma's or great grandma's, one of the two,
Okay.
and then in there too. So they're all three very similar pieces.
So maybe she might be connected to the older furniture, which is not necessarily a bad thing. That's good to have a little, you know, angel backup, have a little help, you know, some souls on the other side looking out for you. But that male, I'm trying to get a beat on him, and he just doesn't want to be nailed down. To me, he seems like he could be maybe in his 40s, give or take.
Now, is that when they pass?
Well, it can be, but sometimes they like to throw me off, and they like to show me an age that they just liked. Okay. But I'm seeing him as like mid-40s, possibly, because it also could be the age they should be now if they were still living. It's all kinds of things that could be the factor in. But yeah, I'd say about 40 to 45. I smell alcohol on his breath. He may have also smoked, but I'm not sure. Ooh, yeah, it makes me feel very dizzy, almost like he died, something, like whatever the trauma was, it knocked him for a loop. He went out, like he was out, something happened really weird with him. Just show me. Didn't take care of his body either. Where are you? This energy, this entity, didn't express himself well with other people. There was some sort of barrier the way he interacted, especially with women. There was some sort of issue there. I don't know from what era he is. He's not really showing me like clothing, because I see them more like shadow silhouettes, and then also like energy. That's like an energy body is kind of how I perceive them. Sometimes they'll give me little glimmers of their actual physicality, but very weakened, definitely weakened energy. I would say this is definitely a human entity, but that had little respect for himself or others, and therefore didn't care about your boundaries. I don't know where he came from, though. That's what I'm struggling with. I don't think he has a lot of access to you, but we want to keep it that way. We want to push him a little farther out, or just maybe help him go. Like, actually move on, like all the way on. Because I feel like he's kind of stuck. It almost feels like he overdosed or something, is kind of how I felt. So that might cause him a little confusion with the afterlife. I'll have to figure him out a little bit. But the older female and then the older male that are like protecting the space, they're very nice. I mean, the guy, he's a little, maybe a little grumpier on the edges, but honestly, he seems kind of deep down like a good guy. Very helpful, very protective.
I do believe this house had only one owner, the married couple, and
they could be them,
so.
or they could be connected to you somewhere in the family tree too. Kind of hard to say, because it could be both.
Yeah.
Okay. My ancestors, they follow me all over the darn place. So I got a couple great grandfathers at the house. They're everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know why my mind went there. It was like because I knew that when one died and one was in a home when I bought the house, like 10 years ago, and it's from like a third party entity because they couldn't take care of it themselves.
Yeah,
so I don't remember what that's called. Blanking right now.
Kind of like a trust or
yeah. So that's where I bought the house from. So that's what I always thought of. Because I swear to God, I always feel like somebody's here. I'm always hearing stuff moving around. Things like.
So the auditory phenomena, that made sense to you.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Like I was saying in my email at work, there's this one spot where I swear to God I hear typing on the keyboard.
Oh yeah.
And every time I go around the corner, there's nobody there. I heard it this time.
So that would make sense that you just have this natural predisposition to feel stuff and pick up on little things here and there, little nuances, especially if it's really overt, that you would pick up on that. So that kind of makes sense why I might feel a little energy in here.
Yeah.
And if the older couple who own the house, or if they're somehow related to you, either way, they seem very benign, very polite, protective, and helpful. So what I like to tell people, especially if it's positive energy, when I do a blessing, that doesn't take them away. It sets a nice healthy boundary. It turns the volume down a little bit. But if they love it here, or if they're connected to you and they love you, then they're gonna just quietly protect the space. You might see a shadow because you have the ability to sort of kind of key on some stuff. It's not that you're never gonna have another paranormal experience. I can't promise you that, especially if you have a little sensitivity. But we could get it managed to the point where you feel like you can take the baton and run the rest of the race and keep things positive and keep that negative sort of energy out of here. That's the most ideal thing. Don't allow yourself to be victimized, because you don't need to be. This is your space. This is your house. That's your body. You're in charge of it. So we can help you with that. And we have a little feline help too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Good energy in the space, but it's just a little off balance. So if you bought the location out of a trust, they must not have had any heirs. I wonder if they had somebody who could have been an heir that checked out not the right way, you know. There's obviously not going to be a way to figure that one out.
Is that what you're getting in the garage?
I felt like this sense of sadness out here.
Okay.
Profound, intense sadness, like poured out at me from this space, like a sense of loneliness and sadness. And I don't know what that's coming from, but it's just sort of permeating from that space. But I don't necessarily feel an entity out there.
Okay.
But I just feel the like residual emotion is kind of what I'm feeling with that space. So, let's see. Ooh, my ears are ringing a lot in here. Massive ear ringing in this space. Like, it's loud. Ooh. This is very active energetically. So I get this like feeling of, you know, like dark, like something like a wisp. I see movement. I keep seeing movement, and I keep hearing the auditory stuff. So I get this like feeling of, you know, like dark, like something like a wisp. I see movement. I keep seeing movement, and I keep. So I'm seeing that elderly woman, and I'm seeing her doing something with her hands. She's making something with her hands. She's doing something, I don't know if it's like cross stitch or crochet or knitting or something. Like she's doing making something, creating with her hands. The older gentleman seems to be in here, but he also walks the perimeter. He like checks the yard. He's doing stuff. He's like checking the yard a lot too. So.
Over there at where the bricks meet the ceiling is where years ago, when my Dane was a puppy, that she would growl at that exact spot above there and bark and growl at it and bark and like
Weird.
I could never figure it out, and like we thought she grew out of it because it stopped, and then when our little dog died, the day I brought home her ashes and put it up there, she started doing it again and barking at the same place. And it's, but she hasn't done it in a long time, but that would always freak us out.
Well, and just because an animal barks at something, it's because they don't recognize it. It could be a really friendly family spirit or whoever, but they're like, I don't know who that is. Let me bark at it. But then maybe that spirit learns to kind of back off, you know, if it is a friendly one, or the dog just gets used to that energy. But of course, then you bring the ashes home, so then there's a new thing, and now it's seeing a spirit of, you know, like, it was like, how'd you get up there? Like, so that can cause a little confusion too.
Am I doing something bad by having all of their ashes?
No, I have
there.
I've got a whole location of ashes myself. Somebody has an opinion about this.
Yeah.
That's a dog, yeah.
It's not a demon, it's a dog. Yeah, no, I've got a whole shelf full of ashes, so.
Okay. All right, let me wrangle the bees.
It's causing a lot of ringing in here, though. There's definitely a higher level of activity in here. Yeah. That I can tell you.
He's a big boy.
Yeah. Shut up, Will. It's all right.
Hi, Scooby.
Get in there. No, get in there. I don't want you to knock anybody over. You're good at that.
Like, plus their space too, because I want them to be safe and content as well. This is their home. This is their space, and they're very annoyed with me right now.
Hey!
Okay, I like you. But, They are very irritated by why are we invading their space? Oh, okay. They're gonna be able to see me in here. Well, that is one hell of a dog.
He's a big boy.
And he's annoyed.
Is he a Great Dane?
Yeah.
Aww, what is the ability? Okay, I think that obviously when I do the blessing, we'll just make sure to get into here too. Get all the spaces. It is so much more active in this particular.
Right in this room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is so much more active. Look at that! Look at that puppy!
Sorry. The light might bother him.
Oh, hey yo! Oh,
Hi there.
No.
They don't care. They're like, but why aren't we invited
I
to
know,
the party?
Usually center of everything. This unfolds into a bed. We just got it because she's really old, the Dane. So
Yeah.
it's she don't want to lay on the couch. She wants to stretch out, but she don't want to not be with us. So this actually open. I gotta move the table to the bricks, and I open it, and it's a bed, and she lays
cool.
on it. Yeah. So
Good for the doggy.
Yeah.
How nice. That I accommodate everything for my animals. I see nothing wrong with it at all.
that's why everything's kind of trashy. Is because I'm like they're just gonna mess it up anyway.
Animals do run the show. It really feels super active in this room, like massively active in this space.
Would it be because we spend all our time in here most?
It could make a concentration, yeah, especially if you're a little sensitive. Plus, you got some spirits in here helping you, watching over you. Yeah, and you do have, the memorial to all the animals, which will bring them a little closer.
Yeah.
In a good
I was
way.
noticing that.
But it would create a higher spiritual energy signature that I would feel.
I know this room sort of has a different theme too with the African animals and even the mask. I don't know if that would have anything to do with the energy or.
It just but it feels good in here.
Yeah.
It's just more active. Okay. It feels fine.
Oh,
it's just busy.
Very active,
to me.
Yeah. Got it.
From a spiritual perspective, it's just stuff's going on. A lot of stuff. Really.
It sounds like a dive bomber.
Yeah. That's a Frenchie.
Much of it is quite manageable, in my opinion. It just. The thing with the bed, that's the thing that's bothering me. And that guy that, obviously you've done some stuff and you've got it tamped part of the way down. So I think we just need to smush it a little farther down. I think we could walk through some meters. Just make sure there's nothing that's feeding it. Nothing, any errant EMF somewhere that you need to take care of that's adding to, fuel to the fire. But, yeah, it's just busy. The house is just a little busier, but I see stuff from, obviously a different perspective energetically. It sounds like stuff made sense though.
Yeah, it was interesting because some of the things you were saying about the guy and then the garage, because it was like I was purposefully not sharing a lot of information.
Yes, that's how it should be when it's a cold walkthrough. Yeah, but now you can share. I'd like to hear what the hell.
Weird. So my father killed himself in his garage. He was found face down with a weed whacker cord tied around his neck, stretched across the room, tied to a nail on the wall.
Oh my God.
And that's how he supposedly killed himself, was by leaning forward. He used to drink and smoke all the time, and he was very depressed. And he was molested by his sisters, and then he turned around and molested my half-sister that wasn't his daughter, a long time ago. And then, having to live with that, and he got an abusive, my stepmom, not his, it was just like this cycle of abuse that kept happening. But he was always my favorite person in the whole world, and my entire life was destroyed when it happened. And it has set the tone for my whole life, and I'm just a basket case because of it to this day. Like, it feels like
big
it
trauma.
just happens.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm 42, and I was 18 when that happened.
How old was he?
39. And
so feeling about a 40-year-old man.
It was just really weird because you said that, and then the drinking thing, and then you're talking about the garage, and it was just really weird. So I was like, I don't know if I'm putting out signals that are confusing, or is
not necessarily. It's either an energy that is mimicking a lot of him, or what he was doing inadvertently because he's having trouble healing. And you know, sometimes it takes a little extra time. You know, sometimes it could take decades for them to fully forgive themselves from all the things they didn't like that they did, and really heal and get better, and then continue their journey and heal in the light. If it was his energy trying to like hold on to you, he may have not been trying to do it in a mean or negative way, but when you're a confused spirit, you might grab too hard. You might, you know, because you're trying to get attention. This happens with children spirits a lot too. They'll reach up and they'll grab at somebody because they need attention, they want help, and they'll accidentally scratch a person. And they're actually not doing it to be malicious, but they're desperate for help. And so he could be asking for help, but doing it in a really stupid way. You know, and so
I mean, I didn't get the feeling that it was him in any way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, well, I mean, maybe I just don't want it to be, but like,
Yeah,
I didn't feel like that was him in any way.
And it could be a spirit that's just very similar to some of the things, and maybe it's attracted to you because you went through a trauma with an individual that was very similar.
Yeah.
Both, you know, either way could be possible. But I know this soul needs to move on regardless of who it is. Yeah. He needs to continue his journey because I do feel that severe depression. I do feel he got dizzy, woozy, and he took it felt like an intentional death, you know, but I wasn't sure if there was drugs or alcohol or what it was. Yeah. Something involved. He was kind of out of his gourd, and then he died. And so whoever this man is, he has to like heal. So, you know, then he can just kind of move on and not cause problems for you and problems for your house. The other stuff with animals barking at things and that kind of stuff, I mean, that could be the house spirits that they're barking at, and they, you know, they don't recognize those people, so they could just be raising hell with them, just like, who are you? Yeah. That kind of thing. The seeing stuff here and there and hearing stuff, we'll have to talk to these nice spirits and say maybe could they quiet down a little bit, because I don't think they're leaving, but they're also not hurting you.
Yeah.
They're very friendly, so I'm not worried about them.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure about this one male entity that, you know, he clearly is not following protocol. So we gotta help him out so he can like, oh wait a minute, okay, hold on, my bad. Let me go and just finish my journey. Yeah. Needs a little bit of help, and maybe with the healing of that soul, it will help you heal with the loss of your father's soul. You know, and maybe it'll kind of create healing on both ends of the spectrum. Yeah. So, but there's good energy here. I mean, you do have a lot of love in this space. Yeah. So. That's there is positive here. It's not all negative. Was that one room your son's room?
The red walls.
Yeah. I feel like that he's either seen or heard a thing or two, but completely just walls it off. Like, no. Like, it's not happening.
Yeah, he thinks that this stuff is dumb. Okay. So he came home when I was doing my thing, and I'm like,
no, I'm gonna smudge this out.
Don't say anything, and I just keep going.
Good. And honestly, just keep up with that. It's not hurting him any, and you know, it's not a big deal. But I feel like he may have seen or felt some things, but it's just kind of like, nope. No, just kind of blows it off.
He's a very practical, like, you know.
So he'll literally the only thing he probably couldn't debunk is if one like really just stepped right in front of him
Yeah.
and started talking at him. Everything else is like, oh, it's a cat, oh, it's a dog, oh, it's a whatever, it's the wind.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's fine. If that's where he needs to be, that's where he needs to
I
be.
can see that because religion, all of that, he thinks is stupid. And,
Oh, well,
he's
okay.
Just, like, make believe.
To each their own. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if he
I don't know where he got that from because I'm not like that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not like pro-religion. I didn't raise him in religion.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised in religion, but I didn't. I just wanted him to be able to choose. But I've never said anything negative about religion. He just totally formed this opinion on his own, and
just has a logical and pragmatic brain, and maybe some of it's a coping mechanism for things he has felt or seen. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, that was. Did I tell you or somebody else when he was a little boy? Like little, like 4 or something like that. He was drawing a picture, and like he's never been exposed to church, never been to church, doesn't know anything about any of that stuff. We don't watch stuff on TV. There's no way for him to know anything. Mm-hmm. And he drew a picture of the house and all this stuff. And he drew clouds and all that, and then he drew a pet with the wings, and then people with wings up by the clouds.
Oh, that's interesting.
And they're just like up there, and it's like. What's this? You know, and it was just like I'm asking the teacher and everybody's like nobody could tell like what's going on with this and stuff and where did he learn this from? Yeah, and then this one girl at work she goes, well maybe God told him, and I was like, oh now you're making me get all goosebumpy.
That's really cool though. I mean, so yeah, obviously before he let his logic get in his way, he had his own spiritual experience. No, you didn't tell me about that. That's very fascinating.
Yeah.
And I would say that, some people do grow out of their spiritual inclinations, or it's just too much for them, so they box it away, and it's all pragmatism, all science, all of this, there's no room for any concept of spirituality. So
yeah, we moved here and he completely changed. His entire personality changed from the minute we moved here. He was like loving and outgoing and just like kisses and hugs and tells his teacher he loves them, and like he's just such a sweet person and would lay with me every night. He had to lay with me to go to sleep even at 10, and he was just really, really sweet boy. And then he just all of a sudden got really angry.
And when what age did this happen?
Right around 10, like shortly after we moved here, and he like acted kind of like teenage angst, but like at 10,
a little early.
It's like,
I mean, it's not to say that the hormones don't start kicking in that early, because they can start getting defiant 10, 11 years old. I mean, it can happen. How were you when you were about 10 or 11, dear? How was your brother at 10 or 11?
Well, you know the stories.
Yeah, so it can happen early, but also change. I don't know what the family dynamic was. If there was another parental figure, and then that parental figure was gone, or like when. So it's one of those things where change can sometimes be traumatizing, plus the hormones, and he may have been reacting to the change in energy and just not known how to quantify it. Doesn't necessarily mean it was dark, evil, or negative or malevolent energy, but it may not have been compatible with him. Okay. So he then shut it all off. He had to get almost disengaged and a little less emotional and more, less connected to you and all the things, to cope. It may have been coping when the couple of initial souls I felt here, they're not negative. But we do have a little weird energy and maybe a little psychokinetic energy, so you might be drifting some stuff in the space too. That's not what he was reacting to, I'm sure. This is just cumulative over time. But yeah, something incompatible with his vibrational field. Something weird about like the land nearby. There's something that's weird and pissed off with somewhere in the land, but I don't think it's attacking anyone. The land seems angry. I don't know what. Not just your property, but like right around here, it feels I felt unsettled.
Well, there's a little no man's land. I noticed kind of just up the street where the little creek runs by, and there's a little creek and trees. You know what I'm talking about? Just up here, yeah. So I mean, there's a little undeveloped area there, just the size of a lot or two.
I wonder if there's a little weird shenanigans that have gone on over there that could leak into the area too, which would throw it off.
Yeah, my son calls the overpass the rape cave.
Oh, jeez.
So I was walking
Oh, no.
that way with the dog, and then all of a sudden I was really scared. I'm like, Jesus. So I didn't know if it was what he said, but I don't like walking over there by that overpass where the creek is. There's something creepy over there. I
Well,
don't
you
like
see,
it.
this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And he says things, oh, but nothing's real.
Yeah.
Son of a...
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. And especially if you're a little bit slightly more in tune, it would make sense that he would be too. But he's totally shut off, so just leave him shut off for now. You want to break out some meters?
Let's do it.
And just do a quick pass with the meters?
I think that's good.
All right.